This chapter is just dense with brilliant maneuvers. Transforming the Han infantry into a formidable cavalry force is a bold military pivot, but it's the subtle psychological games that truly shine. Watching the leader handle Bao Yin, first, humbling his pride with a tour showcasing overwhelming Han power, then harnessing his tactical insight, was masterful. It's not just about the clever horse-blinding tactic, it's about nurturing talent while ensuring loyalty. And the calculated, risk with Niu Wei, sending him back loaded with first-hand knowledge of the Han's capabilities, a high-stakes gamble on ambition itself. We're seeing the Han meticulously upgrade their military might, while simultaneously weaving intricate webs of influence, betting on both fear and aspiration. They aren't just building an army, they're architecting dominance, piece by carefully placed piece. How these cultivated assets like Bao Yin and Niu Wei will ultimately play their roles feels incredibly potent. Bao Yin and Niu Wei left, one to take up his post in Kaiyuan Prefecture, and the other to prepare to return home. As for the current senior military officers of the 1,000 Bull Guards, you will make adjustments to them. The commander of the 1,000 Bull Guards is still Chai Duoduo, and the former staff officer will replace Ying Rui as the Guard Sima of the 1,000 Bull Guards. The vacant position of staff officer will be left to Bao Yin. Ying Rui, who was replaced, will directly leave the military system and be appointed by you as the prefect of Kaiyuan Prefecture, officially promoted to the chief local administrative official. These personnel changes have been arranged in advance, and official documents have been sent to Kaiyuan Prefecture via carrier pigeon. All that remains is for Bao Yin to escort the supplies there, and the two sides can begin the handover directly. He won't have to worry about the rest. In mid-September, after making all the arrangements, you began to concentrate on tidying up your own house. Now that it's autumn, he hopes to finish building the house as soon as possible so that he can move into his new home in the winter. After several months, the main structure of the house has been completed. According to current terminology, this is a Chinese-style villa that combines ancient and modern elements. The rectangular courtyard is divided into 4 courtyards, front and back, by several main buildings. The main building at the front is a 2.5-story brick and wood structure. The living room is not located in the central hall, but in a corner near the main entrance. The wall facing the courtyard is still empty, and a large floor-to-ceiling window will be installed there. Of course, the Han tribe does not yet have the ability to manufacture large sheets of flat glass, so this floor-to-ceiling window will be made into a grid, like a lighthouse curtain wall, with each grid installing a rectangular piece of glass with an area of about 1 square meter. The living room has a double-height ceiling, where a not-too-large carbide lamp will be installed. It's currently being custom-made. The floor of the hall is tiled, and a circle of wooden sofas will be placed there. Against the wall, there is a hard kang, a heated brick bed platform, but it is not as large as a kang used for sleeping. Instead, it's for people to sit on when entertaining guests in the hall in winter, and it can also serve as a heating device. There are several rooms on the first and second floors, including a study and bedrooms. The bedrooms have kangs. In addition to the rooms, the second floor also has a terrace of dozens of square meters, where you can put some flower pots and enjoy the breeze. The area on the third floor is not very large, but it's a luxurious sunroom. Most of the walls will be made entirely of glass, allowing people to bask in the sun here in winter. In terms of the overall structure, except for a small amount of blue bricks, most of the materials used are wood, including the design of the roof, eaves, and beams, all of which are assembled using mortise and tenon joints. Such a house would be considered a rural villa at most in modern times, but here in the Han tribe, it's enough to be called a top luxury residence. Of course, it can't compare with those government offices and schools, but those buildings aren't for private use, so they can't be compared together. The kitchen is built separately and is not connected to the main building, also in consideration of hygiene and fire prevention needs. This is just the building in the front courtyard. Behind the main house is a back courtyard, called the inner courtyard, which is a 2-story building in a U shape. It can also be used for living, and you plan to let the children live in separate rooms in the inner courtyard when they get older. The remaining 2 side courtyards are not small. One is for the maids to live in, and it also functions as a cooking and laundry area. The other courtyard is for the male servants to live in, and it also serves as a storage area, stable, and parking area, which basically takes care of all aspects of life. Regarding male and female servants, your courtyard is so large that you certainly can't let your 2 wives clean it, so servants are still needed. As for the source of servants, you can select those prisoners of war whose entire family is present and who are eager to gain freedom. Or you can select orphans from newly joined tribes, especially those who are young, and bring them back to be raised yourself. Every newly joined tribe has no shortage of orphans, because the mortality rate is always high in tribes that rely solely on gathering and hunting. Some even live in a state of group marriage and don't even know who their parents are. There are many children without support, so you don't have to worry about recruiting servants. The craftsmen at the lumber mill are making various pieces of furniture according to the drawings you provided. Many rare decorative materials are being transported from all directions, especially the lamps and flat glass from Lake Hart Island. You even considered getting a fish tank, but it's a bit technically challenging. You can find a way to get the glass, but when you consider the oxygen supply and temperature issues, so forget it. Originally, he had thought about digging a fish pond and building a pavilion on top of it, but the land wasn't big enough, so he could only think about it. In your old house, the purple fruits on the cotton frame have bloomed. White cotton flowers burst out of the fruit peels. Shouty is happily picking the first generation of cotton in the Han tribe and recording the entire process of cotton from growth to harvest in the Han tribe in a small notebook. Recently, John Ying has become fond of cooking and has asked you for many novel ways to prepare delicious food, mainly food that can be given to the children. Because the 2 children are gradually growing up, they can now slowly eat some other foods as nutritional supplements in addition to breastfeeding, and then find an opportunity to wean them, which requires a gradual transition. At this time, the 2 children, Luo Cheng and Luo Lan, are sitting face to face in a wooden stroller. As the weather gets cooler, both children are wearing thick autumn clothes, of course, with open crotches. In the middle of the stroller is a removable activity table, and on it is a bowl of soft, glutinous egg custard. The 2 children are vigorously waving wooden spoons trying to grab it. They have long bibs around their necks that cover their small legs, but even so, they are still covered in food. John Ying is smiling and taking care of them from the side, wiping this one, and then that one with a handkerchief. Luo Lan has been more mischievous lately. Halfway through eating, she throws her spoon, picks up her foot, takes off her tiger head shoe, and starts banging her shoe on the table while her brother is still eating egg custard. The pat sounds make the wooden bowl on the table jump. Up and the egg custard smears all over Luo Cheng's face. She's still laughing heartily. Luo Cheng gets angry and hugs the almost empty wooden bowl, then throws his spoon and sticks his entire head into the bowl to lick the remaining bits of egg custard. Luo Lan sees this and starts fighting him for the bowl. The 2 children are, still in the babbling stage, but they can wobble when adults hold their hands and walk. Luo Cheng has also prepared a walker for them. He doesn't know when these 2 little brats will learn to walk, probably after this winter. Luo Cheng thought, Dad, pee-pee. Perhaps because he ate too much egg custard, Luo Cheng suddenly slapped the table in front of him and shouted. Luo Cheng, who was drawing blueprints at the table nearby, quickly picked up this kid and took him under the cotton frame, holding his little legs to help him pee. Dad, me pee too. Han tribe, first year of Jianyuan, mid-September mid-autumn festival. Your home is still under renovation, and the entire Han tribe is about to welcome another round of harvest joy. On the vast grasslands south of the Han tribe, herders are also beginning their preparations for winter. They are rushing to Kaiyuan Prefecture to sell their excess livestock to reduce livestock losses in winter, and then use the money from selling livestock to purchase essential living supplies, especially salt. Mao Dun, who just fought a disastrous battle with the Han tribe this year and is slowly recovering by licking his wounds, is even worse off. They suffered a major defeat this year, suffered heavy material losses, and are having an even harder time because they lost their ally, the Xin tribe. Mao Dun wanted his newly recognized adopted son, Dalantai, to raid the Han tribe. But the Han tribe has been busy building houses and cities for the past few months. 2 fully armored regular armies are also undergoing military reforms, training, around Kaiyuan City every day, and have no intention of leaving their nests. The trade between the Han tribe and the Xin tribe directly went by sea, so they didn't even have a chance to rob merchant caravans. With winter approaching day by day and the reserves of white salt dwindling, Mao Dun was anxious because they had to obtain enough supplies before winter arrived. Otherwise, the survival of their tribe would become a problem. Of course, surrendering to the Han tribe is out of the question. They can't win a fight, but they desperately need supplies. Dalantai, having no other choice, gave his adoptive father an idea. Adoptive father, why don't we disguise ourselves as a small tribe and trade with the Han tribe? Anyway, they're Kaiyuan. City sells everything. As long as herders go there to buy things, they all agree. Besides, they can't possibly know all the tribes in the entire grassland. We can definitely trade if we hide our identities like this, Dalantai suggested. Mao Dun's eyes lit up immediately, thinking this idea had potential, but he seemed to suddenly remember something and immediately became a little embarrassed. I heard that Kaiyuan City and the Han tribe only uses some kind of money for trading now. If we exchange for a large amount of money and are discovered by the Han tribe when we come back, what if they don't sell us things then? Also, our tribe needs so many supplies, and the trading volume is so large, we will definitely be discovered, right? Since Dalantai proposed this plan, how could he not have thought about these things? So he said confidently, "Adoptive father, don't worry about the money. We can spend all the money directly in Kaiyuan City after we exchange for it, so we don't have to worry about being discovered and refuse to trade with us. As for the problem of too much trading volume, we can disguise ourselves as many small tribes and purchase in Kaiyuan City in batches. Although it's a bit troublesome, it's very safe." Mao Dun immediately nodded. "You're right. My son Dalantai is still clever. Let's do as you said. As for the livestock for trading, I will let the various tents in the tribe contribute together, and then distribute the supplies according to the contribution of each tent. As for the candidates to go to the trade, you will arrange them all. This is a good opportunity. You can take the opportunity to sneak into Kaiyuan City to scout carefully. See the weaknesses of those ironclad soldiers of the Han tribe, and what they have been up to recently. Also, you must carefully study their city. If we are to attack their city in the future, how many warriors will we need and what methods should we use? Finally, when trading, don't forget to see what good things the Han tribe has. If you see anything we can use, try to exchange for as much as possible. Let's get through this winter first. When the grass is lush next year, it will be time for us to attack Kaiyuan City. All right, go and do as I instructed." "Yes, your son will definitely not fail adoptive father's trust." Dalantai hurriedly agreed happily. "Purchasing supplies, this is a lucrative job. Even the candidates for the trade are left to me to arrange. Then, can't I arrange the price of things at that time? I'm going to make a profit this time. Not to mention how much I can embezzle. I should at least keep some good things to subsidize my family, right?" Having made a wishful calculation, Dalantai immediately began to gather his confidants. They were going to disguise themselves as a small tribe this time. At the same time, in order to reduce the Han tribe's suspicion, Dalantai also decided to take some teenagers and women with him to make them appear weaker, at least not a group, of strong men who look like they are going to rob. Mao Dun spent 2 days gathering livestock from the various grazing areas of the tribe, and Dalantai also spent 2 days selecting manpower and carefully planning the route of this operation. They can't go directly from their tribe this time. Otherwise, the Han tribe will be able to guess that they came from Mao Dun's side as soon as they see the direction. So Dalantai's plan is to take people around in a circle and go from the west of Kaiyuan City. In addition, in terms of this trading team, They not only have to take people and livestock with them, but also move the tents together. After taking people around to the west of Kaiyuan City, they will station most of the people and livestock there, let them disguise themselves as a tribe, and use this as a transit base. Then they will send people to Kaiyuan City in turn to trade for supplies, and finally, after they get all the supplies they need, everyone will go back to the tribe together. In this way, the duration of the transaction will be very long. Even if people are sent in turns every day, plus the time spent traveling back and forth, it will probably take at least half a month. By that time, the weather will already be very cold, so when Dalantai goes to trade for supplies, Mao Dun will also lead his main force to start migrating and transfer to their winter grazing area. Then after Dalantai gets enough supplies, they will go to the winter grazing area to meet. 2 days later, Dalantai set off with his men. He didn't bring many people this time, but the livestock he drove were vast and mighty. The first reason is that the forage in the winter pasture is limited. If there are too many livestock, the herders will not be able to raise them in the winter. Therefore, as soon as winter arrives, the herders will slaughter some old livestock in advance, dry the meat and wait for the winter to eat it. At the same time, doing so also saves limited pasture, so that those strong and young livestock can safely survive the winter. Another reason is because they didn't intend to fight the Han tribe this time. They are here to do fair trade, so in order to obtain enough supplies, they can only bring more livestock. The trading team traveled for 5 days and finally arrived at their planned camping location. The accompanying personnel immediately began to set up tents on the spot, while scouting the pasture around. After all, during the days of trading, most of the livestock must be raised here for grazing first. After waiting another day, seeing that his subordinates had arranged everything properly, Dalantai personally led a team of dozens of people and a large number of cattle and sheep to Kaiyuan City. There was no problem with him going himself. Dalantai was originally a small figure in Mao Dun's tribe. He was not even taken with him when Mao Dun robbed the Han tribe's merchant caravan before, but was left to guard the tribe. It is conceivable that his status was not very good. Dalantai only made a small contribution when the Han tribe raided Mao Dun's old nest, so he was appreciated by Mao Dun and became his adopted son. Not to mention that the outside tribes don't know about this. Even in Mao Dun's own tribe, very few people know about it. So as long as he doesn't say it himself, the possibility of being discovered by the Han tribe is extremely low. The group detoured to Kaiyuan City on the east side of the lake. On the way, they also met many people who had just bought things from Kaiyuan City and were going back. Dalantai also greeted them warmly, shared food with them, and inquired about the rules of trading in Kaiyuan City and the prices of various commodities of the Han tribe, so that he could be confident and not be ripped off. Dalantai led his team for another 4 days before finally seeing the city standing on the lakeside in the distance. However, it was already close to dusk. Kaiyuan City had long packed up and closed its doors. Even if they went there now, they wouldn't make it. Kaiyuan City would not allow people from strange tribes to stay overnight, so they had to set up camp not far outside the city and wait for 1 night, braving the wind and dew, and then rush to trade early tomorrow morning. At this time, Kaiyuan City only had an inner city where the Han tribe people lived, as well as important banks, warehouses, and residential areas. Even the small tribes who had joined the Han tribe could only live in tents outside the city for the time being. Besides, it was impossible to build a super large livestock fence for them in the inner city. They couldn't possibly drive the livestock into the city every day when they returned from grazing. As for the livestock obtained from the trade, they would generally be temporarily handed over to the herders who had joined the Han tribe for grazing. After screening, some would be sent to the Han tribe by boat, and the other part would be directly kept by the herders for raising. However, these are only temporary. The herders who have joined the Han tribe are changing their living habits, from nomadic to fixed-point grazing. They have completely stabilized. Next year, you will order the construction of an outer city outside the existing Kaiyuan City, so that these herders can be firmly fixed here and completely transformed into Han people. Can't Han people also graze sheep while settling down? There's no difference. Early the next morning, as a red sun slowly rose from the city head of Kaiyuan City, Dalantai also led his team to the outside of Kaiyuan City. According to the news he had inquired about before, he came to the livestock market on the north side of Kaiyuan City, which is a place specially for herders to trade livestock. However, after arriving here, he suddenly found that he seemed to have arrived early. The Han tribe had not yet opened the market here, but the vendors selling breakfast early in the morning had already started shouting and soliciting customers. Fragrant big bone soup, crispy sesame cakes, lamb palmo, come and taste it if you're not afraid of the aroma. The stall owners took turns selling in both Han and Mongolian languages. You're afraid of death, Dalantai immediately retorted after hearing what the old man said. Is there anything wrong with being afraid of death? Don't you want to live? The old man chuckled without getting angry. While burying the flatbread in the pot, he didn't forget to retort. You. Dalantai was immediately choked speechless. He had never seen anyone talk about being afraid of death so confidently. You don't deserve to be a warrior of the grassland. A cowardly person like you is not qualified to call yourself a herder. The warriors on the grassland should ride the fiercest horses, marry the most beautiful girls, be able to fight fierce tigers and shoot eagles with bows. Dalantai said you twice, feeling really angry, and directly retorted again. The old man making stone flatbread shook his head and stopped talking. This young man is at most 20 years old and very naive. Try again in 30 or 40 years and see if he can still say these words. Seeing that the old man was silenced by his rebuttal this time, Dalantai also calmed down and sat down to eat next to him. He even felt a little scared for his impulse just now. He was too excited just now, and the words he said were too radical. If someone with ulterior motives heard it, they would probably suspect him. Of course, the main reason was that he didn't expect the old herder to say such things, otherwise he wouldn't be angry. What he didn't know was that it wasn't just the old man at the stall who held this view. Now basically all the grassland herders who have joined the Han tribe have almost the same idea. Your plan to assimilate the herders has been going on for a long time. What are you using to assimilate them? Of course, it's cultural ideas. How to attract herders to actively join the Han tribe. As long as you pick out the shortcomings of the nomadic people and compare them with the advantages of the Han tribe, even a fool will be able to distinguish between good and bad. Of course, the good and bad that they recognize are all guided by you. Take respecting the elderly as an example. There is certainly no problem for agricultural tribes like the Han tribe to support the elderly. Anyway, as long as the crops in the field are still harvested, the elderly will not be short of a bite to eat. But herders abandon the elderly when food is scarce, which is actually fine. It's survival of the fittest. If the Han tribe encounters a situation where an entire family starves to death, or the choice to leave food for the young and strong and children, you will also unhesitatingly choose to abandon the elderly. In fact, it's not just nomadic tribes, but even those tribes in the mountains who live by hunting and gathering. Most of them are like this. This is just your means to attack nomadic moral culture. Who doesn't know how to play double standards? As long as you are on the beneficial side, you can definitely play double standards very well. After a few months, those herders who have joined the Han tribe have become accustomed to the lifestyle habits of tying their hair, wearing Han clothes, and eating grains. The Han language is also slowly becoming popular. Now, except for continuing to graze and not knowing how to farm, they are not much different from the people of the Han tribe itself. You also want them to farm. There is no shortage of water for the land by the lake, but there is a market in Kaiyuan City, and a large number of livestock are traded every day. These livestock that are bought cannot all be killed and eaten, right? So many herders are still needed to take care of them. Farming can be done in the future, but grazing cannot be abandoned. The Han tribe's future high-quality military horses are waiting for these herders to raise themselves. When Dalantai and his group had almost finished eating, the north gate of Kaiyuan City also opened. A dozen or so petty officials came out sparsely, some to keep accounts, some to weigh, and some to be quarantine officers who specially checked the age and diseases of the livestock. With a duong sound of the gong, today's livestock market was officially opened. After hurriedly finishing the last sip of soup, Dalantai quickly greeted his subordinates to go to the market together. The stall owner selling stone flatbread also greeted his helper to lead the cow and go with them to settle the bill. The herd of livestock was not driven out from the temporary storage place. Led by the mute helper, they directly took the stub, wooden token to the market manager, and someone naturally handled the sales procedures for them. First, the quarantine officer checked the condition of the livestock, then priced it according to the age of the livestock, and finally counted the number of livestock. The transaction price was quickly calculated. The quality of the batch of livestock that Dalantai brought was not very good, and the price given was not high. However, he knew what was going on. There were no diseases, but the age of the cattle, and sheep was too old, especially the cattle. The Han tribe was still hoping to train these cattle into plows to work. He brought a batch of old cattle here, with little strength and not much lifespan left, so of course they wouldn't give a high price. However, this situation is also normal. It's almost winter, and the herders are anxious to deal with their old livestock. The livestock received this season are almost all of this kind, so the Han tribe didn't suspect anything. They packed a few bags of silver coins in free hemp bags and carried them on the backs of the horses in the team. Dalantai and his group were ready to go shopping at the department store market outside the South City. However, not far out of the market, several children around the age of 10 ran from the base of the city wall and rushed in front of Dalantai, scaring him so much that he grabbed his stone axe. Translator guide. I can do everything, big brother. Let me take you to buy things, only 2 yuan per trip. A boy immediately introduced himself in Mongolian. The Mongolian language of the grassland is very pure, and you can tell he is a herder. As soon as you hear it, let me go, I can not only translate but also calculate accounts. I am also familiar with the department store market. If you want to buy something, I can directly take you to find the best and cheapest one. Only 3 yuan per trip, another slightly older boy said, but his Mongolian language was very poor, and it sounded like he learned it recently. Dalantai was stunned. He didn't expect that there were people doing this around the market. However, it was also his first time here, and he didn't understand anything. Although he had inquired on the road before, he had never been here after all. Now he really needed a translator who could calculate accounts and guide him. Silently putting away the axe in his hand, Dalantai glanced at the others and finally chose the Han child who asked for 3 yuan. It wasn't that he didn't like the herder, but it was his first time trading with money, and he really didn't know how to use it, so it was better to find a Han child who could calculate accounts and was familiar with money. The Han child took Dalantai away, and the other children continued to squat at the base of the wall to study, learning Chinese characters and arithmetic. Only by learning more knowledge can they charge more than others when guiding. There is no way, it is so realistic. Big brother, is this your first time here? You look very unfamiliar. I don't know what you want to buy this time. Don't worry. I am familiar with that place and guarantee that you can buy suitable things. The boy took the initiative to lead the way for Dalantai, holding the horse while asking about the other party's purpose. I want to buy salt and iron pots, and some cloth. Other things, I haven't thought about it yet. I have to go there and see what there is before deciding, Dalantai said after thinking for a while. The boy looked back and saw that Dalantai's group had about 30 people and only about 50 horses, averaging less than 2 horses per person, and more than half of them had to carry people. So he suggested, Big brother, do you want to buy a lot of things? I don't see that you have many horses. If you buy a lot of things, I'm afraid you won't be able to take them back. Why don't you buy 2 carts first? Dalantai was stunned after hearing this, thinking that this was really the case. He came here this time to purchase a lot of supplies. If he only relied on horses, he would definitely not be able to take them back. Fortunately, this Han kid reminded him, this 3 yuan was not spent in vain. Are there carts for sale here? Do you have to buy horses if you buy a cart? Are the carts expensive? Not expensive, not expensive, don't worry. Also, you don't need horses if you only buy carts. You also brought your own horses. At that time, let the guys in the cart shop help you put them on, and then you can pick 2 smart people from your own people to follow and learn for a while, and you will learn quickly. It won't delay you from buying other things, the boy immediately introduced. Oh, that's good. Then you take us to see the carts first. Dalantai nodded after hearing this, and immediately greeted a few subordinates, preparing to let them learn how to drive the cart later. A group of people arrived at the cart shop outside the South City. There were only 2 kinds of carts sold here, all double-shafted carts, divided into large and small sizes. The small one was slightly narrower and only needed 1 horse to pull it, while the large one was wider, and needed 2 horses to pull it when fully loaded. Dalantai didn't know how much he was going to buy, but even if he didn't fill it up this time, it wouldn't be a loss to buy the cart back. The tribe would definitely need to use it, so why not take this opportunity to buy a few more? However, after calculating the number of horses he brought, Dalantai finally only bought 3 double-horse carts. The boy leading the way acted as a translator throughout the process and helped Dalantai count the money when settling the bill. A large cart cost 800 wen, which was even as much as the price of 2 old cows. Dalantai felt heartache, but he finally gritted his teeth and bought it. The guys in the cart shop quickly moved out the parts and started assembling the vehicles on the spot. That's right, it was assembled on the spot. The cartboard, cart beam, axle, wheels, and traction equipment were all disassembled and shipped on the ship. Otherwise, if the entire vehicle was transported directly, not many would fit on a ship. Moreover, Kaiyuan City is located on the grassland, and wood is also very scarce, so it is impossible to build vehicles directly in Kaiyuan City. They can only be shipped from the rear by ship. The guys assembled the carts, helped Dalantai choose a few obedient horses to put on them, gave away the bamboo pole whips for driving the carts, and then began to train the coachmen selected by Dalantai. Dalantai certainly didn't have time to wait here for them to learn how to drive the cart, so he let the translator take him to buy other things first. Salt and iron pots were essential items, as well as spoons, and knives for cutting meat, skinning, and removing bones, all made of wrought iron sharp knives, not very long, and looked almost the same as ordinary slaughtering knives. These were all within the saleable range of the Han tribe. Of course, knives were not cheap. After buying these things, he received a pile of stub and invoice small wooden boards. When they left, they could call the carts over and load them all at once. With some money still left on the horses' backs, Dalantai let the translator take him to buy some linen and wool, all of which were bought for the big shots in the tribe. Let those ordinary tribe members continue to wear sheepskin anyway. Winter is coming soon, and wearing sheepskin is warmer. After buying everything he needed, there was still a small half bag of money left. Dalantai looked at the messy things in the market and suddenly didn't know what to buy. Anyway, all this money had to be spent all at once. They didn't plan to take the money back. Seeing this situation, the boy leading the way quickly recommended, "Again, big brother, you are going to migrate to the winter pasture soon, right? Do you want to buy some alfalfa seeds? You can sprinkle some in the current pasture, and then sprinkle some in the winter pasture. I guarantee that your pasture will be full of the best pasture next year." "What is alfalfa?" Dalantai asked. "Look, that's alfalfa, that pasture that grows almost to the thigh. Each leaf is divided into 4 petals. That kind of grass is called alfalfa. It is the livestock's favorite grass, and the milk production can be increased after eating it. The grass, seeds I'm talking about are the seeds of alfalfa grass. As long as you buy them back and sprinkle them on the pasture, they will grow by themselves next year." "Is that alfalfa expensive? Do many people buy it here?" Dalantai continued to ask. "Not expensive, not expensive. Only 1 yuan per bag, and many people buy it. As long as those tribes with fixed pastures will basically bring some, why don't you buy some too? The boy continued to urge Dalantai to spend money to buy grass seeds. Dalantai thought for a while and really agreed directly. Anyway, there was still a lot of money in the bag, and it was not impossible to buy a dozen bags back to study it. He would treat it as scouting the situation. Big brother, do you want lamps? Our Han tribe has newly created a kind of gas lamp that doesn't burn wood or oil. You only need to pour some carbide into the water to light the lamp. The lamp is very bright, and it is also windproof and rainproof. In the winter, even if there is a strong wind and heavy snow outside, there will be no problem if you take this lamp to check the livestock at night. Moreover, that thing can automatically ignite, which is very convenient to use. If the fire in the tribe goes out one day, as long as you can still find clean water, you can directly use that gas lamp to start a fire. The lamp itself has a flint lighter. If you want it, I will take you to see it now. There are not many of those lamps now, and there may be none left if you go late. The boy saw that Dalantai was going to spend all the money directly, and quickly began to urge him to buy other things. The manufacturing difficulty of carbide lamps is not high, and they have already spread to Kaiyuan City, but because of the long distance, the price is higher than that of the Han tribe headquarters. After all, it takes so long to come here and add shipping costs. The same carbide lamp sells for 5 yuan apiece in the Han tribe headquarters, and sells for 10 yuan apiece to herders in Kaiyuan County. Even so, herders keep buying it, because it is really convenient to use. The most important thing is, as the boy leading the way said, this lamp can not only be used for lighting, but also as a large lighter. Who knows when the fire in the tribe will go out? It will definitely be much more convenient to have such a lamp that can make fire.